Hello, and welcome back to Fem Life. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel. 2 lucky winners get to spend 1 hour on video chat with me. As the old adage goes, with great power comes great responsibility. This statement could not have been more true for the enchanting red box that had been sitting on my dresser for the past few weeks. Its presence filled me with an equal mixture of excitement and trepidation, as if it were some sort of magical talisman, beckoning me to embark on a journey to the realm of crossdressing. And embark I did, clutching the box tightly in my hands like a lifeline, as I stepped out of my comfortable masculine attire and into the unfamiliar territory of women's clothing. The first stop on my journey was, of course, the department store. The sheer size and scope of the place was enough to make my head spin. It seemed like there were endless rows of racks, each one more dazzling than the last. The air was thick with the scent of perfume and the hum of quiet conversation, as shoppers of all ages and sizes meandered through the aisles, browsing through dresses and shoes and makeup. I must have stood there for several minutes, simply taking it all in, before I finally found the courage to approach one of the sales associates. She was a vision of elegance, her hair perfectly coiffed and her makeup flawless. "Excuse me," I said, my voice wavering slightly, "could you possibly help me find some clothes?" She smiled warmly, her green eyes twinkling with amusement and understanding. "Of course, sweetie. How about we start with the ladies section?" And with that, she led me through the sea of people to the very back of the store, where the world of feminine apparel awaited me. As I perused the racks, I couldn't help but feel a sense of wonder and excitement building within me. The fabric of the dresses felt so soft against my skin, and the colors were so vibrant and beautiful. I tried on several different styles, from conservative blouses and skirts to more daring numbers that made my heart race. The saleswoman floated from one fitting room to another, offering helpful suggestions and encouragement. "Oh, I think that color would look lovely on you," she'd say, handing me a dress in a shade I'd never considered before. "And with these shoes, it would be perfect." After what seemed like hours of trying on clothes and talking with the saleswoman, I finally found the dress. It was a simple yet elegant number, mid-length and form-fitting, with delicate lace detailing at the bodice. I felt confident and beautiful in it, like I could conquer the world. The saleswoman, who had become something of a fairy godmother to me throughout the process, gently smiled as she zipped me up. "That one is definitely a winner, sweetie," she said, handing me a mirror. "It's perfect for your first time out." With renewed confidence, I thanked the saleswoman and made my way to the register. As I waited in line, I glanced around the store once more, taking in all of the other women and their various ensembles. Some were bold and daring, others more subdued, but they all seemed to exude an air of self-assurance and grace. And then it hit me, this wasn't just a cross-dressing shopping trip. It was a transformative experience. It was about finding my own sense of style and confidence, about embracing who I truly was, and about learning to love myself unconditionally. And with that realization, I knew that my life would never be the same again. As I walked out of the store, clutching my bags of new clothes and makeup, I felt a sense of exhilaration wash over me. I wanted to run through the streets, to show the world my newfound self. But instead, I took a deep breath and paused at a nearby mirror, studying my reflection. The woman staring back at me was someone I barely recognized, but she was someone I knew I could grow to love. Slowly, I began to apply the makeup I'd purchased, careful to follow the saleswoman's instructions. The foundation smoothed out my skin tone, the eyeshadow made my eyes pop, and the lipstick made my lips appear fuller and more inviting. When I was finished, I stepped back and surveyed my work, marveling at the transformation. With newfound courage, I set off to find the perfect place to wear my new dress. The city seemed to unfold before me like a dream, each street offering its own unique charms and surprises. I wandered through crowded parks, bustling markets, and quiet residential areas, taking in the sights and sounds around me. As the sun began to set, I found myself drawn to a cozy little restaurant I'd seen earlier, its warm lights beckoning me inside. The hostess, a striking woman with jet black hair and ruby red lips, greeted me with a smile and led me to a table near the window. I couldn't help but feel a thrill of anticipation as I perused the menu, imagining what I would order to go with my new outfit. As I waited for my food, I couldn't help but glance around the room, taking in the other patrons. Some were laughing loudly, others were deep in conversation, but all seemed to exude an air of contentment and belonging. I felt a pang of longing in my chest, wishing I could be a part of that world. But then I remembered the saleswoman's words, "It's not about fitting in, sweetie. It's about standing out." And with that thought, a quiet determination settled over me. My meal arrived, and I took a deep breath before picking up my fork. The food smelled incredible, and the presentation was exquisite. As I began to eat, I found myself savoring each bite, enjoying the texture and flavors of the food on my tongue. And as I did so, I felt a sense of pride and accomplishment welling up inside me. I had done this for myself, I realized. I had found the courage to embrace who I truly was, and in doing so, I had created a new life for myself. As the evening wore on, I decided to treat myself to a glass of wine. The waitress, a tall, willowy woman with pale skin and auburn hair, smiled knowingly as she poured the deep red liquid into my glass. "On the house, dear," she whispered, winking. I felt a warmth spread through my chest as I clinked my glass against hers in thanks. In that moment, I knew that I was exactly where I was supposed to be. Eventually, the last drops of wine were gone, and I reluctantly made my way back to the register. As I paid the check, the waitress leaned in conspiratorially. "You know, sweetie, there's a party going on just down the street. You should stick around, maybe see if you can find someone to dance with." Her words sent a shiver of anticipation through me. Despite my initial reservations, I found myself nodding eagerly. After all, what better way to celebrate my newfound freedom than by letting loose and dancing the night away? I followed her directions through the twisting streets of the city, the music growing louder with each step. The party was being held in an abandoned warehouse, its walls covered in graffiti and colorful lights. The dance floor was packed with people, their bodies moving in unison to the pounding bass. I felt a surge of adrenaline as I pushed my way through the crowd, searching for a spot where I could lose myself in the music. As I danced, I forgot about everything else. The other women's envious glances, the men's appreciative whispers, the fear of judgment that had once held me back. I let my body move to the rhythm, feeling the music course through my veins. And for the first time in what seemed like forever, I felt truly free. Hours passed, and the party showed no signs of slowing down. I found myself in a corner, leaning against the wall, catching my breath. A tall, dark-haired man with piercing blue eyes approached me, offering me a drink. "You must be new here," he said with a smile. "I'm Alex." "What's your name?" His voice was smooth as silk, and I couldn't help but feel a flutter in my stomach. We talked for what felt like hours, about music and art and our dreams for the future. I found myself losing track of time as I listened to him speak, enchanted by his words and his presence. As the party began to wind down, he asked if I'd like to walk him home. I hesitated for a moment, but something in his eyes told me that I could trust him. The walk home was quiet, but not uncomfortable. The air was cool against my skin, and the stars twinkled overhead. I couldn't shake the feeling that this night was different from any other I'd ever known. When we finally reached his door, he turned to face me, his expression serious. "You know," he began, "I think you're really special. And I'd like to see more of you." His words sent a shiver of anticipation down my spine. I took a deep breath, feeling a mixture of excitement and uncertainty welling up inside me. I knew that this was a crossroads, a moment where I could choose to continue down the path I'd been on, or veer off in a new direction. With a smile that felt equal parts brave and terrified, I leaned in and kissed him. His lips were soft and warm against mine, and for a moment, everything else fell away. I knew that from this moment on, my life would never be the same.